events.
So we were just looking on the weather map, and there's a hurricane headed. We live part-time, well, it's basically a vacation house in North Carolina, in Murphy, North Carolina. There's a hurricane literally headed right now for Murphy, North Carolina, and there's another hurricane headed literally right now to Puerto Rico.
I know, great
so
timing.
So two separate hurricanes headed right to the two places
Nowhere
where
to
we
go.
live. Yeah, exactly.
We'll be all right.
Well, there might be 180 days left this year, technically, something like that. But there really aren't 180 work days left this year. So if you were to get a calendar and you were to actually start by, and this is what we do with all of our coaching clients, and you were to put a star by the work days you have left this year, you'll be shocked how few work days you actually have. You don't really have 180 work days left this year. And if you start in your mind, well, you're probably, even if you want to work during Thanksgiving week, you're going to be there by yourself. No one's going to want to necessarily work with you. Yeah. Everybody's going to be closed. Banks, title companies, won't matter. Same thing's going to happen in December. Same thing's going to happen during other natural, normal, slow times during the rest of the year. So do take that in consideration. You don't have the time to waste.
That's right. Now, this means that you know what's going on in your market. You know the micro market. You know, when we sold houses in Columbus, the overall market might have been 180 days on the market, but pockets would be even 10 days or less, you know? Yep. So it can vary. Just because you know the stats for, say, Atlanta does not necessarily mean that they apply to all areas of Atlanta or all types of homes.
And one of the things that I know that we always tell our coaching clients to do, of course, nowadays there's really kick-ass software to do it too. Mm-hmm. But even if you can essentially click a few buttons and have a great CMA spit out, it would be a really smart move for you to go to your MLS and take your MLS? No, to go to your Board of Realtors and take an MLS class. Because the MLS class that you can take gives you a real in-depth view of all the sort of analytical information you can get out of the MLS, which will really blow your mind.
Yes, that's exactly. I mean, that's part of one of our action plans, actually, is to go do that. Okay, so don't lose a listing because you haven't spent the time to understand the neighborhood stats or facts, and or understand your actual competition. This can come down to something really goofy. Like I remember when we sold, buy levels and split levels, never sold for as much as 2 stories.
Right.
But to look at them, they look virtually the same. They kind of looked like the same square footage, but they would never appraise the same. So little nuances.
But that was funny though. I remember when you and I do remember that clearly. There would be a, buy level. I guess people don't like to have to make a decision. I don't know. You walk into a foyer and there's a staircase going down, another one going up, and sometimes on the first level when you walked up, there would be another one went up after that.
Yep.
And it's like those houses were always hard to sell.
Yeah, and that had to do with appraisals being anything below grade.
That's
they
right.
couldn't give the same value for cost per square foot.
But that goes back to your point. Point number 4 there is that the appraisers often wouldn't count the square footage, which was basically below grade. And where we sold real estate, same with where you sell real estate, if there's not a full egress like window in each bedroom, you're not going to be able to count it as, full egress, meaning essentially a huge window, right, that someone can get out in the event of a fire. But if there's also not a door that leads from the living space downstairs, it's not counted. It's basically not included as part of your square footage.
And you can't count it as a bedroom if it doesn't have a closet, which is one of the reasons we also, in addition to take your MLS course, even though it sounds really boring, it's really useful. Along the same category, you've got to take an appraisal class because you're not necessarily going to know all these nuances. And if you're in a place that's maybe a vacation market, the site of street that you're on make a difference.
This stuff is interesting to a point, but here's the way. If you're not analytically minded, you're going to